And now on the line is Mullingar-based Reiki practitioner Eileen O'Heney. Eileen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Darren. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Eileen, I don't have figures on this, but I think that most people, or the majority of people in Ireland, know what Reiki is. For short, I would say that it is a complementary therapy that originated in Japan that works on the basis of God or Rei, channeling life force energy or Ki, or what the Chinese call Qi, into the body to promote physical, mental, and spiritual healing. Eileen, can you tell me first of all a bit about how you became interested in Reiki and spirituality in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I never had one, I suppose, defining moment where I can say this is where I started my journey with Reiki. But I'm actually a nurse by profession, and I've always had an interest in well-being and healing and everything that goes with that and complements that. And maybe going back a couple of years ago, I would have been interested in energy healing. It was something I was drawn to. I didn't know much about it, but I always felt that I wanted to do something different or something else maybe. So going back maybe to 2019, maybe 2017, I had a spiritual awakening. So I started, I would be quite intuitive, and I started tapping into that side of things. And I was thinking about what I was going to do. And then in 2019, I started my Reiki journey. So it has gone on from there. I would have done my courses quite quickly together, as quickly as you could do them over the couple of months and year or two. And then I started working myself from home 2 years ago.
Okay, I see that you have nearly 200 subscribers to your Reiki Facebook page, so that just goes to show, I think, that there is an interest and demand in your part of the country for Reiki. I have a Mullingar heritage. My mom being from the town, and I lived there as well for a few years. And I was
very good.
I was very young when I lived there. But along with the Mullingar connection, what encouraged me to contact you today is that I saw in one of your advertisements that you were trained in psychic development. I don't expect you to reveal all your secrets to us today on radio, Eileen, but I'm really interested in general in the area of intuition or the sixth sense. Can you tell me, Eileen, a bit about what your training in psychic development has taught you over and above or on top of what of the regular intuition that we all have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the first thing, Darren, that everybody has intuition, a sixth sense, and a lot of us don't use it, and some people ignore it. And they would say that you have 4 seconds from the time a thought comes into your head, where it's your gut, that intuition, that sense of knowing, that you have 4 seconds to either take it or not take it. Because what happens is the rational side of the brain starts saying, no, you're just imagining that, or that's not, that's not for real, or it's not logic. So people actually, they don't tap into it. So it's something I would have tapped into, and I did a psychic development online. So when I'm working, I work very intuitively, and I find that it works extremely well for me. In that, if you came to me for Reiki, and we have a little chat beforehand, and if you didn't tell me anything about you, or you just give me the bare basic reason why you've come to me, and then when I'm giving you the Reiki and I tap into my psychic side and into my intuition, at the end, then I give feedback. So I could, so excuse me, a bit of a cold. So I can say to you then that maybe you have trauma that you haven't dealt with from childhood, or maybe you have low self-esteem, and I will tell you what area you need to work with. So for me, it works extremely well in that people, I think they feel validated after the Reiki, because they feel that I've told them exactly what they need or what they need help with. And I give them, so say somebody has quite something I see quite a lot is that people don't actually like themselves. It's a very common thing. It's maybe I'm of a generation when growing up we were told, don't do that, don't be you're too big for your boots, you're too fond of yourself. So a lot of people don't actually like themselves, and a lot of people are very hard on themselves. And I say to them, if you met somebody on the street and they said to you, I'm upset, I've had a hard few months, you wouldn't say to them, go home and get on with it. But we can be very hard on ourselves. So I would say to people, to be kinder to themselves, to be more compassionate, to take a day off. I'm very interested in mental health and well-being. And there's a lot of very anxious people and a lot of struggles for people at the moment. And I think being kind to yourself is something that we can all work on, where we can just give ourselves a day off. I say to people, do you ever take a day off, where you're not doing something for somebody else? And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, where they feel that they should be going to see somebody, they should be doing other things, and taking a day off and all these things of minding ourselves, setting boundaries, self-care, I think are all very important to our well-being. So that's just a whole area that I'd be very interested in the whole mental and the well-being, and obviously the Reiki complements all of that, and physical well-being.
And do you think the course you did online on psychic development helped you, or did you always kind of have that ability, or what's the story like?
Oh no, that definitely helped me. Yeah, that definitely helped me. Richard Knight, I did his psychic development course. Yeah, it definitely helped me, and because it just opened me to that and brought me to a different level. But Reiki and intuition and energy, there's so many things that are connected. And when you start maybe on one thing, it sort of leads you, it's an automatic process where you will, maybe verge off into something else that will complement your work. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you know of him, but I follow the American author Gary Zukav, and Gary is Oprah Winfrey's most regular guest out of all of her guests on her program since she has gone into broadcasting. And anyway, Gary believes that millions of people around the world are becoming what he calls multi-sensory, or which is more intuitive than historically. I personally think that children born nowadays are more intuitive than previous generations, but amongst adults, I don't see a big growth in spirituality outside of a kind of niche percentage of the population. Do you have any opinions or experience on this, Eileen?
Yeah, I would have a lot of younger, young adults and teenagers that would come to see me. I'm a mother of 4 young adults myself, so it's something I sort of relate to the younger generation, that maybe that little bit more. And I've also trained as a children's nurse, so I worked all my life with children, young adults. Going back to your question, I do actually find that I would have young people that come to me as clients who would be interested in spirituality, and who actually, I would have had one very recently who's actually done the Reiki 1 and have an interest in that. I think, Darren, the whole thing of mental well-being and emotional wellness maybe is bringing some people to the path of spirituality. And I think as well, a lot of people that struggle or have difficulties in life embrace maybe spirituality at some stage. And maybe, they feel after everything they've gone through that they may have something to give to other people, or they feel that they've become a better person for the pain maybe that they've suffered.
Yeah, I think personally, if Gary is right that millions of people are becoming multisensory, I think it's happening amongst the children and the young people, because I don't personally see much like a big, in my experience, a big growth amongst adults, and spirituality. I think the level.
Yeah.
I think the level of spiritual interest amongst most adults is appalling. Did you agree?
I don't know if I'd use that strong a word, but I understand where you're coming from. Yes, I suppose it's a different generation, and people maybe confuse religion and spirituality, and maybe tapping into your inner sense of and the intuition. Maybe it's not something that an older generation might embrace. But for me personally, I would have a lot of clients from very young to I see children, and I've seen, you know, adults in their 60s, 70s have come to me for Reiki. So I think that's good that, you know, people are embracing alternative medicine and their well-being on another level, especially of an older generation. Well, Reiki for me has been, the feedback I get from my clients has been it has been really good, and it has, you know, there are very few that haven't come back to me, and they send people back to me. So I suppose for me, that's, you know, that's a great sense of satisfaction that people feel a benefit of it. Because sometimes with alternative medicines, people struggle a bit with, you know, maybe the science of it and how it works, and they think maybe it's not. But people that have come to me have got great relief from different symptoms and have got great peace and a sense of wellness and a certain sense of peace. And I think that's, for me, has been very rewarding. From all sorts of issues, from emotional, from anxiety, from depression to grief. There's a lot of things that Reiki can help and complement people on their path.
And you have your you do your Reiki in your house there, which is just outside the town, is it Mullingar, is it?
Yeah, I'm 5 miles from Mullingar. I'm on the Dublin side of Mullingar. I'm only an hour from Dublin, an hour and a half from Galway, so very centrally located. I have a purpose-built room at home for Reiki, which has its own private entrance, and I trained as a nurse, so I have that professional background. So I would be very, it's a very safe space for people to come and talk about anything they want to do. It's very confidential, professional service, and nobody meets anybody coming or going. I set, the appointments are all different times, and it's because I suppose it's just that's the service I offer. It's just professional and confidential. So I'm just work from home, and I have a Facebook page and I have Instagram. A lot of my younger clients would get me on Instagram, and some people email me also, WhatsApp and text as well, and obviously phone calls.
And you have some. You have some involvement with the Reiki Federation of Ireland as well, don't you?
Yes, I was the Reiki Federation Secretary for over a year, and I just gave up that post in October of this year. I committed to it for over a year, and I absolutely loved working with the committee. I'm a member myself and continue to be. I just found I work part-time as a nurse. So to be able to give my clients and my own business more time, I had to I was only able to do the role for just over the year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was great talking to you today. Before you go, we are nearly at a new year, 2023. Is there anything about your work and in the area of spirituality in general that you think we should look out for in the coming year?
That we, I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean, that we should be. I suppose.
Go on, sorry. Yeah.
I suppose I would say to people to be maybe more open to that thing of spirituality, and to be more open maybe to something I would recommend for people. And maybe if you're thinking of going on a spiritual path, I think people need to spend more time, maybe not necessarily alone, but I think people need to tune out a little bit more, maybe from social media, from different outlets like that, and maybe go within a little bit more. And when we go within, it can bring us to a level of, even if it's just on a small level, where we can get great peace and we can actually get more emotional well-being from that. I compare it to having people having a lot of tabs open on a laptop or a computer on the phone. And sometimes we need to quieten the mind and close down a lot of those things. And I think by doing that, it allows us to maybe to be more intuitive and to be more spiritual and to go within, maybe on a more